Greetings! Thank you for lending an ear to the Voice of the Times for Monday, July 25, 2022. For today's editorial, Postponing Barangay Polls, Fraught with Complications. Several lawmakers are proposing to postpone the barangay and sangguniang kabataan elections in December 2022, but opposition to that is mounting, from poll watchdogs, other civil society groups, and even media. Those elections should be held as scheduled, not simply because many are against it. It is just worrisome that postponement of those polls has become somewhat of a regularity, with those elected in 2016 still serving way beyond their 3-year terms. To put off the polls yet again undermines the legitimacy of those serving in the government's front offices. Besides, the arguments for postponement can be easily dismantled. Some proponents said that rescheduling the polls to next year would save the government 8.4 billion pesos. Really? First, the funds for the December polls have already been allocated in the 2022 national budget, as were the pandemic relief programs. Also, the Commission on Elections has started spending some of that for preparations, because that money is not only for election day. Note also what COMELEC spokesman John Rex Laudianco said last week. COMELEC will continue with its preparations until such time that there is a Republic Act promulgated and signed, stating that barangay elections are postponed, reset, or rescheduled. Second, the argument that the election budget could be diverted to other priorities, such as relief or financial assistance for those affected by the pandemic, is just silly. If that is valid, what other budgeted expenses could be used for COVID-19 relief and other noble purposes? How about salaries and other financial perks of lawmakers, many of whom have deep pockets anyway? If the lawmakers say they are willing to give up their own money to fund relief programs, then maybe they might have the moral high ground to suggest a postponement. Granted, that may be a funny example, but elections are a serious matter. It is not a question of whether the country can afford to remain on schedule. Rather, can a credible democracy afford not to have reliability and regularity in elections? Another argument for rescheduling the December elections is that it would provide stability or continuity at a time when the country, along with the rest of the world, is still reeling from the pandemic. But village and youth officials who have been doing a good job should not worry about facing the voters in December. People will probably re-elect them anyway. However, none of those officials should deny their constituents the right to vote. Doing so bolsters the perilous precedent that was already set when the barangay and sangguniang kabataan elections were postponed for the first time. Should that become acceptable or normal? What other polls might be cancelled for good reasons? How about the presidential elections? To dismiss the village polls as less significant than those for the president is wrong. We agree with the statement of the NAMFREL, or the National Citizens Movement for Free Elections, which said that the legitimacy of those serving in the government front lines is at stake. The Philippines has nearly 50,000 barangay or villages, which are the smallest political units in the country. The village and youth officials serving there are typically the first to respond to people's problems and concerns. Fewer citizens have access to their congressmen and senators, and getting to the president is virtually impossible for most Filipinos. NAMFREL said in a recent statement, the barangay serves as the primary planning and implementing unit of government policies, plans, programs, projects, and activities in the community, as a forum wherein the collective views of the people may be expressed, crystallized, and considered, and where disputes may be amicably settled. As the level of government closest to the people, each voter should be given regularly and without interruption the right to choose the leaders they see and interact with on a daily basis. We agree. Given their importance, barangay and youth officials also need the legitimacy gained only through the ballot. Protecting that should be paramount because holding office with expired mandates compromises their authority. Clearly, postponing the polls may create instability by denying people their basic democratic right to choose their leaders. And that's the editorial for Monday, July 25, 2022. For more news and information, get a copy of the Manila Times on print, subscribe to its digital edition, or log on to www.manilatimes.net. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, and listen to the Voice of the Times.
Our longest trusted English newspaper since 1898. Now available digitally. Computer. Order the Manila Times Digital Edition. Subscribed. Get the Manila Times Digital Edition for less than 2 pesos and 50 centavos per day when you sign up for 1 year. The Manila Times, news source of choice, trusted since 1898.